I am live. Okay. I gotta see comments, man. Where are the comments? Okay, I'm still figuring this out, guys. I don't know who's here, who isn't here. Man, oh man. Okay, let's go to figuring it out, folks. Figuring it out. Oops, let's do this. Let's do, no, this. I don't even know if any of you there. Oh, here. Comments. Comments. Okay. Then I guess nobody's here? Is anybody here? Oh, yay! Okay, now I can see comments. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if Heather would be giving me tech support. Okay, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I figured I would beam in early, right? Because I don't fully know what's happening. Hello, Pennsylvania, San Francisco. Clinton, I think you're here too. Excellent. Okay. Okay, there we go. Annie, yay! Okay, I'm still figuring this out, but Annie is here. Yay, history is totally true. Yay. Beaming. I don't know why I always say beam in when I talk about, anything having to do with Zoom or anything else. Yes, yay, Annie too. I don't know. I guess beam in. Maybe I am thinking of Star Trek. I don't know. I hopefully people had some food that they liked yesterday. There are two things I like about Thanksgiving, and that is stuffing and pumpkin pie. Although I had a really good pecan pie that was really good. You had lots of pie, Annie? I love pie. Sacramento. Hello, Madison, Wisconsin. Oh, you guys are up, man. I think I need more coffee. You guys are going. I'm going to have explaining to do this morning because I'm still figuring out this whole thing. Massachusetts, coastal Maine. My beautiful mug. Well, you'll see it is a beautiful mug when I reveal my mug. Oh, brownies are a fine substitute. Erie, Pennsylvania. Oh, it's so nice to see. Stuffing or dressing. I don't even know what dressing is. Is that another way of referring to stuffing? I don't even know. Is that a regional thing? you guys are going, man. You're on. Well, and that is a fine thing to do. Well, I have my friend sent me home with some leftovers. Dressing in when you do not stuff the turkey. Oh, okay. Then I guess I had dressing. Who knew? I just thought it all was stuffing, but no, it was not in the turkey. Got it. I guess that makes sense. Stuffing is stuffed in the turkey. Yeah, okay, maybe I'm not fully awake. Good morning. You are totally making sense, everybody, and now I am feeling not fully awake, sadly. Okay. I'll give it another moment or two. I officially started this at 9:55 because I'm still figuring out this whole platform. What can I say? I'm trying. I am. I'm going to get so much better at this. But I did it, and I don't know if you all noticed on my YouTube page, I made a facsimile of a Claire thumbnail. That took me a little while yesterday. So, indeed. And what are people? Okay, hang on. People beaming me in. Okay. Stuffing in the bird and dress. Okay, see, I didn't know this. You've taught me something before I've even attempted to teach you anything this morning. So and Rosie has things to say. Thank you very much. I'm assuming she was not happy about me eating bird, but sorry, Rosie. give it another moment or two before we begin. Oh gosh, beaming in. Rosie is wired. Yeah, Rosie went to her millet holder and then just stared at it and looked at me and stared at it and looked at me because it was empty. So she has already let me know what she thinks about everything. And okay, fixing, moving, screens, everything else complicated. Okay. Gotta keep catching up to you guys. Hey, oh wait, okay. Mizelle made it to a live. Okay, I'm gonna totally say this again when we officially start, but if you're here for the first time, you totally are gonna have to say something so that everybody can welcome you. Clinton, I don't know what to say about signing in on your laptop. See, already, Mizelle, you're getting welcomes. Yeah, I'm going to give it another minute or two. I actually have no idea how many people are here because I don't know how to determine that on this platform. So I'm afraid to like press any buttons at this point. So I'm just not going to know. Let's just say there's lots of you. I don't know. What is... Yeah, see, the last word you'll hear from me is, what does this do? Yeah, I'm not going to press anything. I promise. Yay. You guys are see, I have no idea. Click you guys are already technologically ahead of me. The other thing I didn't know how to do was I am able to, you guys can, oh, am I frozen? Am I freezing up on you? Doesn't tell me it's doing that. Okay. I'm supposed to be able to send out an alert to everybody saying it's on. And I didn't know how to do that either. So, okay. Okay, I guess it makes sense that right after Thanksgiving, there are going to be people here who are here for the first time. It's another one. Okay, in a moment or two, I'm gonna ask you all. Not freezing. Thank you. Oh wait. Okay, so you received the alert. Wonderful. Like I said, I spent a ridiculous amount of time yesterday creating the little thumbnail that had the title of the episode. I'm trying, guys. Yes, okay, you got an alert. That's wonderful. I appreciate that. Oh, I was frozen for a few seconds. Okay, well, that's not good. I don't know why that would be. Okay, some say no, some say yes. I'm here, guys. So I am here. Is anyone else experiencing issues with the stream? This is not good. Okay. Nope. Some are, some aren't. Okay. I do not know what to say about that, but some people apparently are having issues. No issues, issues. Okay. Afterwards, well, I'll say this. We'll start in a moment or two. Hamilton would be a tech wizard. No, Eliza would be the tech wizard, not Hamilton. She was the one who dealt with everything. She was the one who, like, as far as I can tell, kept their bank records. So yeah, no, Eliza. Sometimes I am frozen because of the, oh, I see. Oh, look at that. I made comments show next to me. Is that good or bad, folks? Actually, I'm gonna say no. There we go. Stream is fine. Okay. Thank you, Annie. You told me, and I picked up my phone because I forgot in a nanosecond. Chat scrolls faster here. We're learning all of this. In the after party, I will ask you guys for some response here. Brief spinning on your iPad. Okay, I'm just keeping going. Okay, I think we're gonna begin. Okay, so everybody, welcome to History Matters, and so does coffee. We are going to be talking about, I suppose, a Thanksgiving-related theme today, but normally I say before I begin, I turn to my wonderful partner in crime, and Annie is with us, but Annie is not here with me because I haven't figured that out yet. But I will explain what normally happens. So I'm going to talk for about 30 minutes. I think that's about what I plan to talk. Then there will be time for questions. We'll have a conversation after that for about 30 minutes. And then we will have an after party, and I will explain what that means when we get to the after party. If you have questions, I am going to ask you to, when you put them in, I don't know where questions go other than in chat right now because I haven't figured that out yet either. But if you put a capital Q before a question, I'll be able to scroll and find what the questions are. We'll see how that goes. And there you go. See, you guys, you know the format. 30 minutes me, 30 minutes you, 30 minutes us. That is History Matters. At any rate, so I'm going to begin my comments in a moment. But before I begin, I do want to say, because I hadn't considered this, because it's the Friday after Thanksgiving and some people are actually home and not at work, then they're here for the first time. So as I always say, if you are here for the first time, please tell folks in chat that you are here for the first time, and you will receive a robust welcome from the History Matters community, which is really a community because this is our 293rd episode. 293. I express amazement and shock every week when I come up with the number, but I mean, come on, that's a big number. So welcome to all first timers. If you tell us, then you will get a welcome in addition. Thank you, Troy. 293. I know we have 2 or 3 who are new here for the first time because they told us. Okay. Oh, there you go. Look at all these first time. I love you, first timers. You're going to get an ode to community a little bit later on. Okay. So what I want to do, as I promised, there are things to be thankful for. And a couple of the ones that I want to talk about are not necessarily historical. And then one is very historical. So bear with me, and I'll get us through some of the ones that I actually think are important for us to think about, because I think they are the sort of things that we don't necessarily always pause to consider as being important. And the first one I think is definitely something that we tend to overlook, a thing to be thankful for. The awareness that we have to see what's going on around us and to know that we should see what's going on around us, right? That's an important thing to be thankful for, because if you're here already, you know that, right? If you're here, you're aware of the fact that we need to know what's going on around us. We need to be aware of what it means. We need to be tuned in. And if you're here every Friday engaging in the conversation of democracy in one way or another, you already know that fact. So one thing to be thankful for, the awareness to see what's going on around us and to know that we need to see what's going on around us and to think about it and to talk to other people about it. I'm going to come back to that one. Okay, another thing to be thankful for in this season of thankfulness, that is to recognize all of the people, all kinds of people around us who inspire us and who work for all of us. Right? That second part, all of us, pretty important. So we should all pause at some point over this holiday weekend to give thanks, to recognize the people really who have been there and are there for us. And many of them doing some kind of work that gets no recognition at all. If we're aware enough, we will recognize the people that are there in various ways, and some are political and some are not. So I'm actually not just talking about politics, but this is a time of year, should be always, but certainly at this time of year, we should recognize the people working for us, for the general good, and be thankful for them. Okay, another important thing to be thankful for, and that is the ability to learn and seek knowledge. Right? We know that it's good to learn. If you're here, you know that it's good to learn. Learning is life, and seeking knowledge gives you a good life. So being thankful for our ability to learn and our ability to go and seek knowledge in various places and to help others learn, since many of us here are teachers, we should be very, very thankful for that. Okay, here's a much more specific thing to be thankful for. Local newspapers and the independent press, right? Local newspapers and the independent press, they're really important right now. And I have talked in the past and will talk in the future about the press and about its role in any kind of democratic government. They're vitally important. And right now, the independent press and local newspapers are working overtime to keep us informed, keep us aware, remind us that there's stuff out there that we need to know. So I really wanted to take a moment this morning to thank them multiple times over, because they're more important even than we may think. Okay. It's another thing to be thankful for. And this is going to be related to the one that comes right after it. We need to be thankful for our knowledge of what this nation can be and our knowledge that we can help it get there, right? We know we're living and are aware of the United States beyond this moment. We understand in many ways, good and bad, what this nation has been and can be. And that kind of knowledge, that's what will get us past this point. Our knowledge that what we are going through now is not all that we are. We can be more than this. We can be better than this. And that's enormous. That is a kind of awareness that is going to ultimately, in the end, save us. And where do we get that awareness from? In part, history, right? History teaches us where we've been, shows us where we are, and informs us about what we can achieve going forward. History is who we are. We are built on our history. And again, for better, for worse, American history is not a bed of roses. And anyone who tries to tell you that it is not telling you the truth. But it's important to embrace all of the history because, again, that's who we are, the good and the bad. How can we be better than the bad if we won't even acknowledge that it's there? So history, really, in a sense, understanding our history in its full complexity, in the ways that it inspires us sometimes and really reveals to us fundamental shortcomings that we have to overcome. Maybe in the end, that's the ultimate thing that will provide us with so much of the other things I've already said we need to be thankful for. Now, in the name of history, I want to offer you something, and I will mention, so tomorrow morning, Heather and I pre-recorded a Saturday morning chat for you. So I already know what I'm going to say in that. And so the thing I'm going to mention right now, I read in full for that. So I want to give that, my conversation with Heather, the credit for my looking up and reading the text of this for the first time in a really long time. But you'll hear why I think it's actually very important, and it's history screaming in our faces in a way. And it has to do actually with Thanksgiving days. Okay, so Thanksgiving days, giving days of thanks, goes all the way back, right? I mean, all the way back. That's, New England, colonial New England. Every now and again, you would declare a day of thanks, and you would give thanks for whatever the thing was to give thanks for, right? So a day of Thanksgiving was not born with this holiday in the way we understand it, which is born 1870 pretty much, but sort of begins 1863. But there had been days of Thanksgiving before. And, in a New England town, a person of authority in the New England town, probably the preacher, the head of the church, would step forward and say, this is a day of Thanksgiving. George Washington in 1777 declared what you might call the first day of national Thanksgiving for the victory of Americans at the Battle of Saratoga. So it was a custom, and he was tuning into that custom. But the thing that I want to mention today is a declaration of thanksgiving made by newly installed President George Washington. He issued it. It was printed as a broadside, and I think also in newspapers, on October 3rd, 1789. It's a proclamation saying that let us declare a day of Thanksgiving. But listen to me. I'm going to read extensively in it, because if you listen, and I'll probably make significant looks at the parts I want you to think about, but it's really interesting. Washington, October 3rd, 1789, new president. I'm going to declare a day of national Thanksgiving. And this is what he wrote. Whereas both houses of Congress have, by their joint committee, requested me to recommend to the people of the United States a day of public thanksgiving and prayer to be observed by acknowledging with grateful hearts the many signal favors of Almighty God, especially by affording them an opportunity peaceably to establish a form of government for their safety and happiness. Now, I will mention there's a lot of talk of God here, because days of Thanksgiving, you're thanking God. So that's ultimately what's going on here. But one of the things, the first thing that he's giving thanks for, is the opportunity peaceably to establish a form of government for their safety and happiness. Okay, this isn't thank you for your bounty. This is, we just created a government and it's going to help us with our safety and our happiness. We thank you on this National Day of Thanksgiving for our government. Next, he thanks God for his kind care and protection of the people of this country previous to their becoming a nation. So now he's talking history. For the signal and manifold mercies and the favorable interpositions of his providence, which we experienced in the course and conclusion of the late war. For the great degree of tranquility, union, and plenty, which we have since enjoyed. For the peaceable and rational manner in which we have been enabled to establish constitutions of government for our safety and happiness. Thank you, God, for what you've contributed to our ability to create constitutions for ourselves. And it's a plural because he's talking about the states, and particularly the national one. And he wrote one, he capitalized the O in one, now lately instituted, brand new government. He's thankful for the civil and religious liberty with which we are blessed, and the means we have of acquiring and diffusing useful knowledge. Okay, so before I go on to the last passage here, I just need to recap. He's giving thanks for the government. He's giving thanks for the national constitution and state constitutions. He's giving thanks for civil and religious liberty, and he's giving thanks for our ability, to acquire and diffuse useful knowledge. We know that we should be reading and learning and using knowledge. All of these things, although this is from 1789, seems to me that this needs to be repeated in this particular moment of time. Okay, one last passage I want to read. And I think this is actually the other side of giving thanks. Washington asks God, beseeches him to pardon our national and other transgressions, to enable us all, whether in public or private stations, public stations, to perform our several and relative duties properly and punctually, to render our national government a blessing to all the people, by constantly being a government of wise, just, and constitutional laws, discreetly and faithfully executed and obeyed to protect and guide all sovereigns and all nations, especially such as have shown kindness unto us, and to bless them with good government, peace, and concord, to promote the knowledge and practice of true religion and virtue, and the increase of science among them and us. So to recap, Washington, first real national day of Thanksgiving, he is asking God, he's thanking God for constitutions, for the government, for our ability to learn, for the presence of science and the increase of science as something that can educate us. He's thanking God for all of the things that I'm not going negative on this day, that we are thinking about a lot right now, right? Things that we should always be thinking about a lot right now. So I wanted to read that because I think it's an extraordinary statement. It's political, but not partisan. It has to do with the nation as a whole and America's place in the world as a whole. But it's a remarkable, and I think probably for many people, unexpected kind of Thanksgiving statement at the start of the government. Now, the last thing I want to do here, and I still have a little time, so that's good. The last thing I really want to give thanks for, and this was not going to surprise you at all, is community. Surprise! And I think I've done one or two Thanksgiving episodes before here on History Matters. And I think in one way or another, almost every week, I thank this community, but probably on the Thanksgiving episodes, I've really come forward with particular gusto in talking about community. It is always important, which is why I've always talked about it. I think we have learned to be more thankful for community since the time that History Matters started. We live in a time when, in addition to all of the things that Washington is reminding us should be there and that we should give thanks for, community. We need community and we should give thanks. Whatever communities we have, whoever they consist of, this community, I'm sure coming back to that in a moment, we need to be thankful for it. Now, as a historical authority on this, I'm going to turn to Alexis de Tocqueville, who, French aristocrat, came to the United States in 1831, stayed through 1832. He actually came to the United States with a friend to observe the American penitentiary system, because America was trying all kinds of reforms with its prison systems, and people around the world were interested, like, what's America doing? Because the United States, in addition to thinking like we're innovating with government, they were trying to innovate with everything, because as a republic, not a monarchy, they sort of felt that they were trying things out, experimenting with a form of government, and in some ways trying to set some kind of an example. Okay, so this is what Tocqueville says. And he's talking about here specifically, because I want to be historically accurate. He's talking about association. So what he sees when he wanders around the United States, he sees all over the United States people coming into associations, you know, Scottish American Society, Presbyterian Society, whatever, you name an association. And in his mind, people are constantly coming and meeting in associations and groups and clubs all over the place. So here's what he has to say about that. In democratic countries, the science of association is the mother science. The progress of all the others depends on the progress of that one. Among the laws that rule human societies, there is one that seems more precise and clearer than all the others. In order that men remain civilized or become so, the art of associating must be developed and perfected among them in the same ratio as equality of conditions increases. So he is saying the fundamental of American society, and should be of society generally, is community, is association, is people coming together. And whatever it is they're doing together, coming together, engaging with each other, associating, and in that sense, forming not just an association, but a community. And I see that someone in chat says Tocqueville was such an eye-opening read. I totally do encourage you to find a version of Tocqueville. He's certainly online. You can even just skim through it, because, you know, I always tell my students, sometimes, particularly in early America, the best way to get a clear look about what's going on is to find an outsider looking in. Tocqueville is perfect in that sense. He's wandering around, he's taking notes, he's thinking about, as the title of his work ultimately is, democracy in America. right? So that's what he's thinking about. But his observations are actually really remarkable and brilliant and so revealing about what's going on at that time. When you're studying, I don't know, the very beginning of the government, like the time when Washington is making that Thanksgiving proclamation, it's observers from other places, and in particular French observers, again, who are interested. They're going through a lot of political turmoil too. They're interested in what's going on in the United States. And I remember reading like letters and diaries of French people in 1789, 1790. Some of them came to the United States because they were curious about what was going on. And I remember, for example, and I probably read this when I was first writing my dissertation in grad school, but it stuck around, well, as these things stick in my head, right? Primary documents, they're in there forever. He says that what he sees in the United States, he calls it a sort of British rust. So he's like, they're trying to do something new, but there's like this layer of British rust that they can't quite get off. And I think that's a brilliantly revealing kind of statement, right? British rust. Another French observer says that Americans all seem to be walking on some kind of a tightrope in which they're trying really hard, like not to fall off. They don't absolutely know what they're doing. They're trying really hard, but they're not entirely balanced. Those are remarkably revealing statements about what the United States felt like. And again, those are the kinds of observations you're going to get from people on the outside. So it makes perfect sense that Tocqueville is saying, wow, in the United States, community association, so important. And he says just before this, right, they're so dispersed all over the place, those Americans, that they have to come together because otherwise there's no we, right? There's no there there. They have to come together. Community association matters. So he's talking about the link between democracy and community. He's saying that people who come together, who live together, watch out for each other, are aware of each other, and in a kind of a way, govern together. Because if you're together as a we, you're going to think about the fate of what's going on in that same sense. You're going to think about, in some way or another, the good of the community, the good of the whole, and that is the essence of good governance. So people in a group, people in a community, in some ways, feel responsible towards each other. Now, obviously, we are a community here, a remarkable community, which I boast about all the time. When I try to tell people like, hey, you know, every Friday morning I do this, and I've done this for now 293 episodes, which is pretty remarkable. And I say the most remarkable part of it is there's a community here now. People know each other, have a sense of who people are. And if you're new, you're immediately embraced and welcomed into this community. This is a remarkable thing. Honestly, it is. And I know I've said 1,000 times probably, anyone can make this kind of community, right? Because that's one of the gifts of the pandemic, is our discovery of Zoom and the ways in which it can bring people together from all over the world. So community, this community is an example of what we can do and what we can be as a larger whole. So during this Thanksgiving season, I want to wish not just people in this community, but especially people in this community, quality time with the communities that you belong to, you and yours. And I want to thank you specifically for being part of this community. It matters profoundly. And I know so many of you have told me it matters to you. I don't know if I even say often enough how much this matters to me, brings me back week after week. We're doing remarkable stuff here, and it may not feel like work, but it's a kind of work. Coming together, asking questions, informing each other, staying aware. We're doing work without it feeling like work because we're here together and we enjoy each other. So I want to thank you for helping to create this community, and I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Okay. So for those of you who may be new here, for 292 previous weeks, I have, wipe this off, a mug that I reveal that has something to do with the episode that I'm talking about. And I always say I do not have 292 mugs. So some of them are repeats. This is not a new mug. Thank you, Gina, for saying mug. I didn't even wait for the mug. Thank you. Now I feel that it is a real episode because people are saying, mug, give the mug reveal. This mug is definitely not new, but it includes 3 things that I am thankful for, and that I think all of you are thankful for as well. Okay. I am thankful for this community, Yay History. I am thankful to NCHE, and I am thankful to little green birds. So this mug represents some of the things that I am thankful for. Truly wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Okay, I'm going to stop blathering now. And I don't know if you've beamed in questions with a big Q or if you want to do that now. I have not yet figured out the question part of this. I totally will. And I'm glad, Michelle, that you love birds. Does anyone have actually a question you want to ask or something you want to say that you're thankful for? This is the kind of conversation where that would work too. That's right, rosy representation. Oh, and I was supposed to count how many mugs I had. Dang it. Okay, I will. For the next episode, I will count how many mugs I have. Francesca was here right now I'm in New York, and I revealed the mug cabinet to her, and it is a mighty thing, but I did not count. No, there's a question. What are my go-to online news sources? Oh, wow. I mean, I don't have any one specific one. I mean, I think ProPublica has been doing pretty amazing research and investigation supported work. So that's a place where I tend to look and trust. I actually go and check in on The Guardian a lot. Outsiders looking in, because I'm always curious about how The Guardian is what they are saying, what they see, and what Americans are actually saying to The Guardian. So those are 2 of my online sources. I don't think I have to say Heather, but Heather is another go-to source. Some of you should beam in some of yours as well. Ground News, this could be community answering of the question. I have not yet turned to Ground News. It doesn't mean it's not worthwhile. But the 2 ones that I guess I immediately turn to are ProPublica and The Guardian, but when they appear on my feed. But there are many others that I turn to as well. And thank you to those of you who are saying you're thankful to me and to Heather. And we appreciate that more than we can say. I certainly appreciate that more than I can say. The Tennessee Holler, that is actually another one that I look at and look for. Associated Press and Reuters are good as well. I think that's true. I'd forgotten. Sorry, Tennessee Holler. I forgot about that. Independence news folks like Midas. That's true. So now and independent news sources can be individuals who are routinely doing good research, good news, and then offering it to all of us. BBC, I watch, but because it's, what do they call it? Legacy media. I always watch it with thoughtfully. And NPR, I listen to thoughtfully as well. Any news source is fallible sometimes, but I think we should be listening and reading all news sources with a very thoughtful eye, for sure. But I suppose some I'm more, I don't want to say wary. I read more closely or listen more closely to some than others. Oh, okay. Can I comment on the 6 legislators reminding the military of their duty not to follow illegal orders, part of the Uniform Code of Military Justice and the response to it, and also pretty much the oath that they take? Yeah. So what I will say is that a president or an administration that wants to court-martial, and I'm not even going to talk about the logic or legality of it, but someone who says they want to punish people for telling people in the armed services not to obey illegal orders. Right? Some presidents might say, yes, right? It's our military protecting all of us. They should not follow illegal orders. Now, granted, illegal has some fuzziness to it, and that's a separate question. However, the idea of punishing or arresting or prosecuting or doing any other thing to people who have done nothing more than step forward and said, please don't follow illegal orders, which they're not supposed to do anyway. We don't need any tells anymore, right? But that's revealing. So, to me, the important part of this is not the 6 people who stepped forward and said to the armed services, please don't obey illegal orders. Of course, the important part of this story is people who want to punish them for having said that, right? Who want to punish them for having said, the Constitution matters more than any one individual. If you're trying to punish people for that, it's not even a tell. You're not revealing anything. You're shouting from rooftops precisely what you value. And it's not the general good, and it's not the Constitution. So that's part of my commentary on that. That's a hugely, again, I can't say revealing, I can't say really shocking, although no matter what happens, there is some part of me, there is some part of my soul that still goes, what? Despite the fact that we might even predict some of this stuff, there's some of it that will eternally be unbelievable to me, even though it's predictable. I think that's true. Okay, looking more to see, The Onion. I can't say I look to The Onion, but I'm bemused by The Onion whenever it crosses my path. I have not been watching the special election. Oh my gosh. So as of November 26th, there have been 84,356 early votes. Okay, let me comment on this for a moment. Here's another thing to be thankful for. Americans realizing that in this moment, not only do they need to be aware of what's going on, they need to vote. The numbers of people voting. When I do any kind of public-minded anything, podcast or newscast or whatever else, and when I'm invited, they're like, can you find something positive to say at some point in your comments? And that's not super hard for me, because something that I think is really positive, and maybe this should have gone in my list of things to be thankful for, is that Americans are alive to the fragility of democracy, to their need to stand up and be present for democracy. They are doing that. They are voting. They are standing up. People are aware of things to a degree that they haven't been at other points in my life. Now, we haven't necessarily gotten to that awareness in the most wonderful way, but the fact that we have that awareness, if you go all the way back to the founding, and I know I've spoken about this before, the founders did not assume that this would go of itself. They did not assume that the Constitution would get ratified and be put in place, and then everything would be hunky-dory forever after. They assumed that there had to be ongoing engagement. They assumed that citizens needed to be educated so they would recognize, among other things, threats to the country, threats to the government, that they needed to be present and available for defending in some way or another the Constitution of the nation, right? It was not, they did not think people would sort of walk off and say, thank you very much. Thank you for creating a government. They did not want later generations to look back at the founding era as some amazing golden period. John Adams explicitly says that if you are thinking about the founding as some beautiful golden era, then everything in American history is downhill from there. And any administration and anything that happens will be inferior to that founding moment. And that is not what they wanted. That is not what they were thinking. And thus, and I know I've used these letters and quoted these things before because they're so wonderful. Adam says again and again and again in his old age, we didn't know what we were doing. Like we didn't know. We were making it up. We made mistakes. Boy, did we make mistakes. And I know I've used this quote before, but he talks about watching people sign the Declaration of Independence and seeing on their face they were not happy about signing that document, right? He makes the point over and over again. We weren't perfect. We didn't know what we were doing. We made all kinds of mistakes. And it is not all downhill from here. You guys keep it going, right? We've initiated something, and now it requires other people to keep it going. So that's an important thing to be aware of too. Okay, the Tennessee election, that got me off there because I was saying thank you for new awareness. I'm thankful for Americans being aware of things and stepping forward to stand up for what they believe in, sometimes in peaceful protest in ways that matter, even though people like to claim they don't. They do. Okay. Jennifer has to go catch your parents' Christmas tree. Financial Times. Okay, people, Der Spiegel. Yeah, okay, so people, this is good in English. Thank you, because I couldn't read it in German. The Guardian, yes, indeed. So yeah, you guys. Oh, Rachel Maddow. That is still actually also very true. Talking Points memo. Thank you. You're coming up with them. Raw Story. Yes, thank you. You're coming up with all of them. And I don't know, Annie, tell her thank you, but I'm thanking Annie too. I give more thank yous at the end. Normally at the end of the episode, I offer many, many more thanks, but I'm thanking Annie particularly now. Here's a question. Will rebuilding the Department of Justice post-Trump Bondi be more difficult than establishing it after the Civil War? Whoa, Dave, what a question. Okay, what I will say is, it's really important to think about, and it's related to what I just said, rebuilding, repairing, revisiting, reforming. At some point, all of these things are going to have to happen. I cannot tell you more or less difficult. I can tell you that the time that we're going through, in some ways, the bucket of things that have come together in this moment are distinctive. We have not had this particular bucket of things challenging us before. We've had bad times before. The Civil War is a big one. The challenges we face now are different challenges. Not good challenges, but different challenges. So whether it'll be harder or easier, I can't say. What I can say is that question is the way we need to be thinking, right? What would we want after this? What do we want to improve after this? What can be better? What can we, things that we can't, not only can we rebuild, how might we rebuild them? I've talked many times before about norms. And I know someone's going to say norm, because that goes through my head every time I use the word norms. But things that we took for granted as norms, so many of them have been violated, stepped on, trounced, abandoned, right? And that's because norms are norms, and they usually aren't written down, or there's no penalty for not following them, because they're norms. It's what you do and what you take for granted, because it's what you do. And you don't realize often that they're norms until someone violates them. So that's one thing that I'm guessing down the road, there will be some norms that will no longer be just norms. Since now we've seen what happens when they're violated, there will be some norms that in one way or another will be given some oomph as guardrails. I, again, can't predict what those are going to be, but we need better guardrails in one way or another. I had the mug reveal, Annie, but I'll do it again. Did people miss my mug reveal? My mug reveal is, I'll say it again, things I'm thankful for. Yay, history, the history community, NCHE that has sponsored this all along, and Little Green Birds, including Rosie. My apologies, Andy, if you missed it or if I missed it. I hope everybody saw that. Okay, trying to come through with more questions. Yeah, where is Tim? I don't know if Cara Lee is here. I don't know if Francesca is here. I haven't been able to watch closely to see who's here and who isn't. So folks who are here for the first time, like, we know our History Matters community by this point. Oh, Annie, have you posted a question for Joanne? Oh, you're being outed. Let's see. I'm trying to find more questions. Oh, what a question. And I guess this came from KT and Karen is reposting it, maybe. Are the independent news freelancers comparable to the pamphleteers of the early republic? What an interesting question. I would say they're more like the pamphleteers and writers of the American Revolution. By the time you get to the early republic and you have a government in place, you have people who are supporting the government and people who are, in one way or another, opposing the government. But during the revolution, you had people who were not necessarily welcomed in coming forward, who were not necessarily, by the time you get into the early republic, many newspapers have been there for a while. Revolutionary period, in the same way that they have to create new governments for their states and all kinds of new structures and political institutions, because when the royal equivalent is removed, there's a lot of empty space and systems that have to be put in place. And the same holds true for communication and news. There's a reason why the British very much liked to stop the American presses from going, because that process of informing Americans of what was going on was important, brought people together. So I would say independent news freelancers, that spirit of, yeah, we know there's legacy media out there, but we feel that there's important work to be done, so we're going to step forward and do it on our own. That's who I would link them with. People who had that same mentality during the American Revolution and became fundamental sources of information and unity and action in ways that, certainly older presses were not serving that. Some of them began serving that same purpose, but it's the sort of the revolutionary spirit, I would say, that I link more with independent news freelancers who are stepping forward because they feel a need for it in this moment, and that the sort of regular systems aren't necessarily accomplishing what they need to accomplish. But that's a great question. Have I ever been on Rachel Maddow's show? I have not. I was invited once, and I was meeting with a student, and so I couldn't go, actually. And I really wanted to, but I didn't. But I am going to be on Jon Stewart's podcast this coming week, I think. Jon Stewart, too. Let's see, what else? Looking for more questions. Yeah, I know Rachel Maddow did some historical things. I think my colleague Seth Kotler was like a moderator for her, and he's great too. Okay, question. Looking. Joy Reid online. I'm looking. Oh, Allie got here for the first time and late and caught up on I don't know how you can listen to me double speed, because I always feel like I talk too fast anyway. Wait, what can we do about the Supreme Court? That doesn't have a Q before it, but boy, that's a question, isn't it? Do we expand the Supreme Court? One of the interesting things about this moment is the many ways in which we're learning about branches of government and what they're supposed to do and what happens when they don't do it. The degree to which Congress has basically surrendered much of its power to the president is, again, I can't say I'm surprised all the time, but some part of me remains surprised, because some part of me, maybe the political historian part of me, consistently thinks, wait, what? They're what? What? And I know, like, if you asked me, I would predict things, but it still remains surprising to me, the degree to which branches of government, checks and balances, separate branches, all of these things that we took for granted for so long, and that, from the very beginning are part of what constitutes our constitutional system. People saying, oh, to heck with it. A thing to be thankful for, that we have the oomph to keep going through times that can be tremendously exhausting. And I'm sure this is true for all of you. It sure is for me. These are exhausting times to live in because I think for many of us, we don't ever entirely power down, right? So I'm thankful for being aware, but I'm always aware. So sometimes that's exhausting. So thankful for us sort of continuing to push on through times that are beyond challenging, and that, you know, we need to know to step back. I watch TV when I need to step back, because boy, do I need to step back sometimes. And that's one way that I definitely do it. Was there political comedy in early national America? There was political. Okay, so one of the forms of political comedy in early national America, and if you Google and look for any of them, you will see why they might have been funny at the time, but the humor doesn't always translate, is political cartoons in that time period, 1780s, 1790s, they were very word heavy. So often there would be, you know, an image that you could tell what was happening. So like there's a famous cartoon about the fact that the capital was going to move. It was going to first go to Philadelphia and then to someplace else. And what was that done in exchange for? So it's a political cartoon. What it looks like is, you know, a river that sort of branches off into different branches and a boat heading down, and not everyone in the boat wants it to go in the same direction. And you can get the point of it. But I think the part that's supposed to be funny beyond that is what the people in the boats are saying. And what you see when you look at it is big speech bubbles full of words, you know, that like you really have to read the words, and you kind of have to, you know, it's not necessarily the thing that's like a thigh slapper when you look at it up. You really have to decode it. And for that reason, it sometimes can be challenging to use those cartoons in a teaching setting because you actually do have to offer decoding. Another example of this, it's in not necessarily the early Republic, but let's say in the 1840s and 1850s. I found the fact that this existed really comical. There was a humor magazine called Vanity Fair, which is not related to our current Vanity Fair. And in my most recent book, In the Field of Blood, I nickname it Congressional Fights Quarterly, because there was so much violence that they were making fun of in there. But the way that they made fun of it was really kind of wry. I don't want to say subtle, but like you would have to be following what was going on in Congress very, very closely to understand the humor in Vanity Fair. So like, and at the time, newspapers at the time, the vast majority of column inches in some newspapers was congressional proceedings. The Congress was at the center of everything at the time. The president, not as much as Congress, at the center of the news. So people did know what was going on in Congress. But, you know, I'm trying to think of a specific example from the Vanity Fair. It's like Mr. So-and-so stood up and said that it would behoove the Congress to not discuss things that were so tense and difficult as bubbles coming out of your tea, which was like the exact wording except for bubbles coming out of your tea regarding the slavery question. So they made fun of these congressmen, sometimes in more humorous ways than that. There was a dictionary, a congressional dictionary that had insults alphabetically, and then it had examples like, "You bumbling, babbling buffoon." That one was actually pretty blatantly funny. At any rate, there is humor throughout this period, but as with so much humor, it is of its time. I remember reading Tristram Shandy. I think I mentioned that in my seminar. Anyway, by Lawrence Stern, Tristram Shandy, really popular in the late 18th century novel, and a humorous novel, but really, really an 18th century sense of humor. So there are things in it that made me laugh, and I read it for an independent study class that I had with Patricia Meyer-Spax in the English department. Really fun. And I would go in and I would be like, oh my gosh, like this, like there's a passage in it that at the time, if you did public speaking, there were like positions you were supposed to take and where your hand was supposed to be held. And you learned this so that you would look like a proper orator. There's a passage in Tristram Shandy where Sterne is, comically describing someone who stands up and has something to say. And it's like, he stood, he put his left leg slightly forward and bent his right knee. Then he raised his left hand, opened the fingers. And so it's making fun of something, but only if you're like an 18th century nerd are you going to totally understand the humor of that. Other aspects of it are just blatantly funny. And kind of, to me, postmodern. There's a passage early on in the book where it says the equivalent of "it was a dark night," and then you turn the page and it's just a black page. So you have to be a certain kind of person to enjoy Tristram Shandy. I recommend it because people at the time found it really funny. I find it really funny, but it's so unexpected in so many ways. So that's a very long answer to yes, there was all kind of comedy and there was political comedy, but some of it you really had to be like alive at the time or someone who immerses yourself in that period enormously to get the humor of it, which will be true of us, right? 100 years from now, people are going to look back at this moment. Will they know that The Onion is not necessarily serious? I don't know, right? People in the future will be looking back and trying to decode us, and who the heck knows? I think about that all the time as a historian, that people in the future, historians in the future, far future, are going to look back. I don't know what the heck they're going to think, but almost on a daily basis, I think there's a dissertation topic. There's a dissertation topic. It happens all the time. Like, this happened. I'm shocked by it. Someone needs to explain how this happened. Wow, I got so behind, you guys. When does what come out? I don't know. I've missed. Oh, me and Jon Stewart. I don't know. I'm recording it on Wednesday. And then I don't know when it comes out. So I will certainly tell people when it does come out. Okay, catching up. Oh, Dave, on this day of giving thanks, I'm not going to talk about Donald Trump. Not explicitly, but I'll come back to it next time, I promise. It is hard for me to do that without doing everything except, I move far away from thanks when I do that. Okay. Okay. I missed all of the when is Jon Stewart coming out, which I do not know yet. Okay. Beaming in, looking for more questions. I still think yes. So blah, blah, blah. Where are we? Oh, a couple more minutes and we're going to do the after party, which I will explain. The New Republic is where all of these essays happen from historians. I guess that's kind of probably where you're headed. Beaming on, looking for, okay. This was, question from a first timer. Why is the Constitution interpreted by what is written in the Federalist? Okay, papers. Ooh, I got a double answer for this. Thank you, first timer Anne. Okay, so that's a good question because the Federalist, and I should say, I talked about this in my Yale lecture courses online, the America at 250. I assigned a bunch of Federalist essays for my students to read. They were not originally called the Federalist Papers. And what I discovered in teaching the course, I was like, okay, so when do they get start? What begins their being called the Federalist Papers? They were essays or the Federalist Essays, but the Federalist Papers were not their title. So apparently this came about in the 1960s. A historian named Clinton Rossiter, and I didn't look up to see why Clinton Rossiter decided to call them the Federalist Papers, but he did. That's when that title came about. But to my horror, what I discovered was that the edition of the Federalist that I assigned my students to read from was Clinton Rossiter's edition. So I got up in front of my class and said, they're not the Federalist Papers. Ignore this book. I learned something. I taught my class something as well, but they are actually the Federalist Essays. But as that question from Anne suggests, they were not written as objective commentary on the Constitution. They were written before ratification by, ultimately, for the most part, John Jay somewhat, and then James Madison and Alexander Hamilton, to sell the Constitution, to get people to buy into the Constitution so that it would actually get ratified. So, to sort of grossly exaggerate, they were a commercial advertisement for the Constitution. So, they certainly explain a lot of it. And people at the time, like Pennsylvania Senator William McClay at one point in his diary says, this is so us. It's like, I had to figure out a way to get a copy of the Federalist Essays without paying for it. So he feels like he needs to read it. He doesn't want to pay. But at any rate, they're certainly important to read. And they certainly explain a lot about the Constitution. So I'm not meaning to entirely discredit them. But turning to them as an objective source isn't quite right. It isn't. And, it makes sense that people think, I suppose, if you're thinking as an originalist might, like, well, James Madison says this, and it must be true. Well, James Madison was trying to get people to ratify the Constitution. That's how he was thinking. So there are things in the Federalist Essays, like Hamilton at one point, I think early on, maybe within the first 10, talks about, there are people who do not even want us to be a union at this point. And he goes on about some dire threat. Well, there wasn't really that dire a threat about that at that particular moment in time. He just sort of threw it in there to get people even more motivated to want to support the Constitution. So as with what I said earlier about, read some news sources with a careful eye to make sure that what you're reading is something you really want to trust. That's, I wouldn't say don't trust the Federalist Essays, but I would say read them as an informed reader. Be aware that they're explaining things, but they're also justifying things and smoothing things over so that people would feel better about the Constitution. That was their goal. So why is the Constitution interpreted? It's an easy thing to do. It's written by two people who worked on the Constitution. There's all kinds of logical reasons, but with historical knowledge, you would know that, yes, they can inform you, but they're not the last word, right? Precedent actually matters a lot. Okay, I am almost out of time. That was a great question, Anne. First timer, man, you got to come back and ask more good questions. Okay. Jon Stewart releases his weekly podcast on Thursdays. Okay, thank you. I don't know if I'll be that Thursday or another Thursday. To be honest, until this moment, I had forgotten that I was going to be on it. So thanks for reminding me. Okay, I'm looking to see. Has Rosie, I think you guys, have you been able to hear Rosie today? I hope so. She has had a lot to say. Those of you who are new, Rosie is my resistance bird, a parakeet who's rescue bird found in Central Park, and she sometimes doesn't have a lot to say. I will say, ignore that book I assigned. That is one of the most Joanne things. That's right. No, I assigned it, and most of it's good, but Clinton Rossiter did a bad thing. If you are reading the Federalist Essays, I will now say, Federalist 10 is incredible, but what I would encourage you all to read, actually, so here's my homework assignment for anyone who's here right now. Go to find Federalist Essay number 1 and read the first paragraph of the first Federalist Essay by Hamilton. Because what he essentially says, I read it at some point in all of my classes. He essentially says it has been given, I'm going to be a bad paraphrase, it has been given to us to decide for all time whether people are capable of coming together and choosing their governments through deliberation and choice, or whether governments will forever be determined by violence and chance and force. And the experiment that we are undertaking at this time may very well determine for all time whether that is possible. It captures the significance of that moment. It captures the significance of what our country tried to do and is still trying to do, right? We were an experiment in government, and we created this country in a distinctive kind of way, not necessarily a unique way, but at the time, a distinctive kind of way. Let's come together, get a bunch of people in a room, and create a system of government quietly, and then send it out to be ratified so that we're sure that a broad sweep of people actually approve of this Constitution. That was noteworthy at the time. That was a noble experiment. And that first paragraph, just go read the first paragraph of the Federalist Essay, and you will understand a lot of the meaning of that moment in time. And I think you will have a slightly deeper feeling, if you already don't have one, for what we're living through right now. Okay, I am 3 minutes past, so I'm going to stop. So let me explain what's going to happen now. because it's going to be a little not like we normally do, because as to go back to where I started, I'm still figuring this out. So normally what happens right now, and it will happen today, is we go to the after party. What that means normally is that we no longer record, so that we can have an even freer and easier, robust conversation. I cannot do that here. I cannot, if I stop recording, we all go bye-bye. So what I'm going to do, and so I'm saying this loudly here, I'm going to go and figure out how to edit out the after party. That will be one of my tasks for the day. I'm going to be very careful about it so that I do not edit out the episode. But what that means is whatever we say today in the after party, I am going to try to edit it out, but maybe be a little bit careful because I thank you. Boy, everybody keeps asking for this mug, man. I'll do it one more. I'll do it in the after party. At any rate, I just wanted to have everyone, like, you know, total disclosure. I cannot turn off the camera for the after party. And I will edit it out, but you should all know that before we launch into the after party, when we talk about whatever the heck it is you want to talk about. Now, I do want to offer thanks. I want to offer thanks for NCHE for helping create and for sponsoring this for so long. I want to thank Annie, who is here, even though she's like out in the world, she is here. I want to thank Claire, who is not here. I want to thank Jessica and John, who are not here. And I really, really, really want to thank you guys, as ever, for being here. Ask Heather. No, Heather and I, like, already, she said, it's kind of easy. I did it. So that we're going to figure it out. I will figure it out. But I will figure it out. I figured out how to make the title page, which is not exactly perfect yet, but I did it yesterday. It took me like an hour. I kept undoing it and redoing it. But at any rate, okay. So we are about to go to this after party. That's right. I'll show the mug once again. I don't know what happened, why people haven't seen the mug. This is the mug for the day, and it's my Give Thanks mug for you, the community, Yay History, for NCHE, who has been sponsoring us, and for Little Green Birds, Newbie and Rosie. Okay, poof. We're in the after party. This will be the location going forward. It'll be my YouTube page. Will be where it appears. I'll figure out ways to put it in other places. I will also figure out whether there's a better way to have the after party. I have not figured that out yet, but not necessarily next week, but down the road, and I will make an announcement. This will be the future permanent home of History Matters, with other things going better because I'll have figured it out by then. Next week, we are still in our normal location. We did this here today partly because I wanted to test it out, and partly because NCHE is closed. So I wanted to be able to do this for everybody. And so I got to, you know, this last week, 2 people have said kill 2 birds with 1 stone and then apologized to me. And I almost just said it. I wanted to do 2 things at the same time. And I don't know yet about, well, Claire, beam in. I do not know. Things are being figured out, but I did figure out enough to be here and do this. So now that we're officially in the after party, how did a lot of people have problems with freezing? Was that a big thing, or was that a handful of people? Do you have a sense based on the chat that I could not follow? I do not know. We have concepts of a plan. Oh man, I will not acknowledge. I will not own that statement. Oh, okay. The first one you've seen, Garbo. Okay, so Garbo, what normally happens is I speak for a half hour about a topic, and then people ask questions for a half hour, and then there's a half hour after party. So now you are in the after party. Poof, you're in the after party. So it's actually remarkably, this is one of the things I show off about every week. I'm like, this is an amazing community. And not only that, they've been coming here for years for this as a community. And many of them stay for 90 minutes. Like, These are people, man. This is a community. So that's the normal way in which it normally goes. So this, officially speaking, is the after party. Oh, another first timer, Garbo. So there have been a number of first timers, right? I saw 2 before. This is a third. Thank you, Troy. There are several good tutorials on YouTube. Well, the thing is, I'm using StreamYard, not YouTube. And StreamYard, I think, enables you to have someone else beam in with you, which I have not figured out yet. So it actually, I'm doing it on StreamYard and sending it to YouTube. And so I do not, I'm still figuring it all out, but that's good. Not a lot of people are saying no freezing. Have I ever gone to the Macy's Thanksgiving parade? You know, I never have. My old New York apartment, because of the way that the apartment buildings faced each other on the street, I could see the balloons reflecting in the windows of one of the buildings, which was pretty cool. My new apartment in New York, I have nothing to see, but I could hear. And so what I heard was, yay! Drums, drums, drums. Yay! So I heard, I had an audio version of the Macy's Thanksgiving parade. I've never actually gone. I should go at some point. That's right. A house finch just landed. Yes, all birds know that they are totally welcome here to History Matters as ever. So yes, Garbo, I'm so glad. Thank you guys all for being here for the first time. I hope you will come back. Right? This is the best. It's the best community. And we've talked about, you can go, actually, if you go on my YouTube page and go to the History Matters heading, you will see 292 previous episodes, right? They're archived there. So whatever we've done, it's up there. So it's actually an amazing archive of discussion about what's going on in the United States for the last few years and how it relates to history. I kind of forget often the fact that, you know, look at all we've done, folks. You go and just scroll through the titles. Like, we've done a lot together here, particularly for someone who thought that it would be for a couple of weeks and then the pandemic would end and it would end. It became so much better. Okay. Silvery, the mythical after party. Well, we talk about all kinds of bonkers things in the after party. Normally, I will figure out how to do Q&A. Haven't figured that out yet. Science of raising horses is first time too. Oh my gosh, Dara. Oh my gosh, this is like the best Thanksgiving present. Is all of you guys here for the first time? Dara, thank you. It's an amazing community. Many of these people have met each other. They've had meetups. It's pretty amazing. I know, I'll say that 800 times. Phoenix Rising, another first timer. Candy. Oh man, you guys. Everyone welcome all of these first timers. Roberta, first time. Wow. GM Junior, 4th episode. Aw, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Annie. That's precisely right. Figuring everything out as the transition happens. I do not have to say that I am not technologically inclined. I'm trying. And I don't know why the freezing. I'll see if I can figure that out too. I don't think that's been a problem before. So I don't know why that's a problem now. First time, Candy. Oh my gosh. So some buffering. Oh, on phones. I can't vouch for phones. So yeah. Oh my gosh. All of you guys who are here for the first time. Oh, wait. So Ellen is going to the parade next year. Your son's band is going to be in it. How cool is that? You can certainly email me and ask me. I have no idea where I will be next year. But I could be in New York. I do not know. Yeah, I'm going to thank you, Pax. I'm going to make a copy first. Because at one point I tried to do something it wasn't a History Matters episode. It was me. I recorded a conversation and then I tried to cut something off, and lo and behold, I cut everything except the thing I wanted to cut. And then I had to go through all of these things to get it back, and it was not fun, which is why I'm going to like my afternoon will be partly dedicated to doing this without losing the actual episode. Oh, yay, Garbo just subscribed. Oh, you guys, I love you guys. Yes, I am sure there will be tutorials. So yes, and Paul has us penciled in on Fridays. Well, so I think a number of people found me through my chats with Heather, which is wonderful. I always mean when I do them to mention this, and I forget eternally. And then the last couple times I actually remembered. I think I skipped one, and it's wonderful for you to find this way. I appreciate your being here, like adopting another history moment. Wow, first timer, Travel Mary Rose, who has a question. What advice would I give to a non-politician thinking about entering public office? Do it. That's my advice. I would say, I would think if you want to enter public office now, you're doing it in part, hopefully, with a real spirit of public mindedness. So, I would say really inform you about what the office does, and really inform yourself about like the people you're serving and what it is that they really want. Because so much of, I think, people who want to run for office assume is that now I will learn how to campaign. And I don't know how often it is that they actually focus really on what they're campaigning for. And this is goofy. I realize that's somewhat broad and generalized, but that would be an easy but important thing, I would say. Please explain how to beam on an NCHE to new people. Okay, that's a very good point, Donna. Okay, so normally, and for the last 252 episodes, the National Council for History Education has been sponsoring History Matters. And to beam in to that, you have to go to, and I'm going to recite this twice. You have to go to this URL. You have to go to ncheteach.org/conversations. ncheteach.org/conversations. Annie, if you could like type that in, that would be good too. So normally you would go there and you would find this, the link for this page and click on it and beam yourself in. And actually I didn't even beam this to Facebook. So I didn't even remember that this morning. I have to figure that out for next time too. I'll have to go on Facebook and find a way to apologize. At any rate, normally we go to Facebook and we are on, I didn't even think about that till this second, man, because normally I would say, if you're on Facebook, you need to leave and go to ncheteach.org/conversations. So that's where we've been forever. And then when we turn off the stop recording, then Facebook gets normally beamed out. I will figure out how to link. I will figure out how to get Facebook in, and I will figure out how to apologize to Facebook. Dang it. Technology. It's so good and so hard. So yes. Anyway, so hopefully that's clear. Chat comments will stay even if it's edited. Okay. I think. I don't know. I'm discovering this all, folks. Anyway, another first timer, Honora. Yeah, Heather and I, so for those of you who don't know, Heather and I had a podcast together, Now and Then, that we did for about 2 years, which we were friends before that point, which is why we came together to do that. Actually, she was invited to do it, and she said she'll do it if I would do it with her, and so we did it together. And I loved it, and it was wonderful, and I miss it. It was canceled, which was goofy to me. It's like, really? You're going to cancel us? And then, we were sort of doing Insta chats on Instagram. We were like bouncing around trying to find different ways of doing something together. And I don't know, maybe now for 20 weeks or so, we have been Saturday mornings at 10:30, although it's often more like 10:40 because we have to figure out what we're talking about, have been coming, and it appears on our YouTube pages. We use StreamYard and having a conversation. So some of you I know found me through that. Those of you who didn't know that's happening, pretty much it's happening every Saturday. We pre-recorded tomorrow's, but we've been pretty good about almost every week beaming in. So what's Me Too? What did I forget you, Annie? I don't want to forget you for anything. What did I forget, Annie? Now I've got to scroll back and find you. Oh, well, thank you, Karen. Thank you guys for thanking me. Like I didn't want to miss the day after Thanksgiving and to be honest, basically to give thanks for this, man. Like, and because I'm out on my runs, someday. So Heather always jokes with me about going out on a run before we do our Saturday morning thing, which will never happen ever. But sometime I might just do it just to spite her. I don't know. Did they give us a reason for canceling? They did not. I think in part it was because as I understand it, and I'm not correct here, but it's more than one person has told this to me, is that a lot of outlets, and in this case it would be Vox, bought up lots of different podcasts and things, thinking that they would be like media centers for all of these things, and then after a while realized that they could not do that and could not support that. And I think they didn't put, as far as I know, much money into advertising what they had or what they were doing. So I don't think in the end that some of the things that they bought, including our podcast, which started with Preet Bharara and didn't start with Vox, I don't think they were making enough money to be able to sustain everything that they had. So as I understand it, that was why they canceled us. And Heather and I were kind of crushed, and we talked for a long time trying to figure out how to do something else, but we may have actually found the way to keep it going. How did we meet? I don't know the first time we met. We've been friends for a long time as historians. I remember, I don't know when I met her. I remember doing an event for my book, my last book. So that would have been 2018, 2017 in Massachusetts. And she came afterwards and we went out for drinks. I probably have that on my phone somewhere, the photo of us. I don't know when I first met her. It's a really good, I'll have to ask her. Maybe she remembers. But I remember early on, before we were doing anything, texting each other like, did you realize it? So we've had a ranting, friendly relationship for a very long time. But I want to thank you guys for, I should show up in running clothes. Well, I said last Saturday I was going to show up with sneakers. Well, just got back. I will. I totally will get her at some point. That's right. Going kayaking after this. Yes, I am Pax gonna download and make a copy. I walk. I do. I do. It's true. I normally go to the farmer's market, although I was supplied with so many leftovers from yesterday. I might not go to see Gary the Apple Guy. And I don't think I mentioned Gary the Apple Guy in the pre-recording. So at least I'm getting to mention him here. He loves the fact that he gets mentioned every week. Please consider Zoom for AP or all, as you can call in on any phone from wherever and listen. No Wi-Fi or data needed. Zoom for AP. See, you've already gotten past my knowledge. Anyway, we're almost up, but I'm going to stay longer. Yes, MS now and then. Oh my God. Okay, that's the first time I've heard that, Daniel. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, I miss Backstory. I really do. Yeah, right. So Preet's channel, Heather and I, after we recorded our podcast episode, we would then just talk about whatever afterwards, and Preet would put it up as for members only, you can get this. Yeah, that's true. Dave says you got to love historians who can't remember when they meet. Yeah, what can I tell you? Yeah. Primary sources. I remember primary sources. Silvery. It is an inside joke because Heather almost, probably not from the beginning, but for many, many weeks, she's been saying, well, here we are getting together again for a conversation, and Joanne just got back from a run. It's like, not only is that not true, but I'm probably just got out of bed. And And sometimes that's true for Heather too. So yeah, I have not been running. So it is an inside joke because every week she mentions that she's just back from her run. It's like, and you know, the last time that I really like took a run, I was probably in high school and I took a track class. Oh no, that's not true. I a couple of times I've been to like spas, and when I'm there, I'm like going for a run, which tells you how often it happens. And I one time did some kind of a race, like joined some kind of a race because I was at a spa and the race was happening outside the spa. And I was like, this will be the only time in my life that I will run in some kind of race thing. And I was not the last person. So so I did it, but running is not walking. I'm a fan of walking. So anyway, I will go and look up and see what Zoom AP is. I just assumed, you know, Heather and I do StreamYard, so I was like, well, I can do StreamYard too. Zoom doesn't freeze. Okay. I will have to investigate and see. The thing with Zoom is, yeah, Heather tells a story about we were at some conference together. And she said I was a big deal that year because my first book had come out and it was a big deal. And that she saw me getting on an elevator and I was like, apparently the person, which I was not aware of, but she tells that story. So, and that could be because that book, people made a big deal about that book and it won prizes and blah, blah, blah. So it could be that is the case. I don't remember that. What kind of spa has running? You know, the kind that's like, after you've gotten your massages and, you know, whatever it is else you do, the kinds I go to are kind of, you know, or haven't gone in a long time. But when I used to be able to afford that, healthy, crunchy, you know, like healthy food. And yes, you can like get a massage every day, but it's like exercise classes. And so those are the kinds of spas that I would go to, like, you know, lifestyle updates kind of spas. Someday I will go to another one again. Oh, and Annie's going to have to leave soon. Okay, because you have people to be with. I totally understand that. Oh, Zoom after party. AP was after party. Okay, now I get it. Right. So one of the things you guys could tell me, one of the things I thought of doing, you tell me what this sounds like, was doing the regular episode here and then saying, now, if you want to go to the after party, go to Zoom. Oh, Emmy says this is better. You know, I don't know. Like, would people actually follow me back to Zoom, or should I? Well, let's see how this works this week. Let's see how it works with me deleting this, and if we like this. And the next week, I'll sort of ask folks who are there next week, who are here this week, what they think and what might be good. It might be my using something else to feed into YouTube. It might, except that this is what I do with Heather, and I don't think people have that problem there. So I'll figure it out. Karen, thank you. Wherever you go, you'll follow. Oh, if you build it, they will come. You guys are the best. And that movie makes me cry every time. Okay, AP is after party. See, silly me. The kids these days. So yes, Annie, tell folks if you're still here about the Slack channel, which is yet another community bonus. Oh, you could. Oh my gosh, someone could go on a run and hold the camera facing out and send it to me. And I could be like, well, Heather, here's the run I took this morning. That would be hilarious. Yeah, that's right. So figuring out that, well, this is the thing. Annie says, you know, there is a Slack channel. YouTube is less secure than Zoom. I don't know what that means yet. I got to figure all this out. I am not going anywhere, and this community is going to go on and maybe even will grow, and that's exciting. So it will be here, and we will figure out how to do it. And we proved today that we can do it. Someone says they always go from YouTube to the website. I actually also have been told by Claire that I need a page like for this, like in and of itself, which I have not done yet because it took me like 2 hours to create just a title page. So I'll get there. I will. There you go. Okay, I guess, okay, we're a minute or two early, but I actually really do want to seriously thank you guys for being here and for putting up with the little bit of the rough edges of this particular episode. Because I just, you got to know, if I miss an episode, I'm either really feeling sick or something really important came up, because I want to be here for you guys. I started it out because I was trying to figure out during the pandemic what I could do for people, given that we were all stuck at home. And I saw, other folks, Patrick Stewart reading sonnets, and Lin-Manuel Miranda putting music he hadn't published before out. And I was like, well, what can I do? History, that's what I can do. So I'm still that same. I still want to do everything possible that I can do in this current moment to inform people and encourage people and help us. It never leaves my mind. It's why I don't sleep really well. So this helps me. Maybe this even gets me to sleep better because I know I've done this. Why don't we as a community do a GoFundMe to hire tech folks for Joanne? I suppose I could use a tech person. That's possible. I asked Heather for the name of her tech person. So yeah, Heather doesn't do anything before the chats either. I know, but then she often kayaks afterwards. So anyway, I'm going to figure all of this out, guys. Thank you for being patient with this episode. And we did have a good episode, and I did get to use that freaking George Washington Thanksgiving proclamation, which I think is rather extraordinary. You will see if you beam in tomorrow for the pre-recorded Heather conversation that we talk about that, or I talk about that briefly as well. But we talk about all kinds of things because it's Heather and me, and we always talk about all kinds of things. So, okay. I guess I am going to, wait, someone said problem swapping over from YouTube, but okay, I'm going to have to figure this out. And actually, thank you, Dave. If, oh, thank you, Troy. You guys are making me feel good since I felt like it was a little bit rough. If you guys want to send any comments about what worked or didn't work, I'll ask you all next week. But write it down and save it up, and maybe in next week in the after party, I'll be able to look at them and we can figure that part out. Oh, well, I can't save the liver, right? I don't think I can save the liver here. For those who are new, save the liver means save the conversation. I don't even know how to do that. Does anyone know how you do that from here? I do not. Okay. So, well, I love you guys. Thank you guys for coming. I don't know how to save the liver. This is sad. I'll see if I can figure it out. There must be a way to do that. So anyway, before I beam off, I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to do that. No, I can make the chat bigger or smaller. You bibbity bib. Video file, image file. That's not helping. Yeah, I have no idea how to save the liver. I'll see if I can figure it out. And if not, then I might not have the liver for this week. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Oh, a YouTube tutorial on how to save. Okay, I'll do that too. Okay, now I'm going to exit the studio, leave studio. Thank you, guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love all of you too. Have a wonderful, relaxed weekend, whatever that means. And I will see you guys. And hopefully you first timers will come back. See you all next week. Bye, everybody.